The air component of Operation Well Punch has eliminated no fewer than 30 terrorists and kidnappers in an airstrike in Biriningwari local government area of Kaduna State. Director of Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gabkwet, said that the strike followed intelligence received on the movement of the criminals along the axis. The same syndicate was said to be responsible for the ambush of troops at Kwanang Mutua on January 27, as well as several attacks and abductions of innocent civilians in Biriningwari. The terrorists were trailed to a location where they converged before they were engaged and neutralized in a precision strike.
Well, still within the Nigerian Air Force, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has visited the families and victims of an accidental airstrike which occurred on January 24, 2023 in Nasarawa State. The visit of the Chief follows the admission by the Nigerian Air Force, having reviewed the incident report of the strikes in Doma local government area. At a meeting in Lafia, Air Marshal Abubakar expressed regrets over the incident, saying reports showed that innocent civilians might have erroneously been killed or injured in the process. The unfortunate incident, according to him, was not deliberate, but had targeted suspected terrorists and cattle rustlers, given the heightened level of insecurity in the area at the time. Abubakar reiterates the Air Force primary responsibility, which remains to safeguard the lives and property of Nigerians.
Well, joining us now is the spokesperson of the Nigeria Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gabkwet. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Well, some might want to ask, why has it taken as long as 1 year for you to come up with this report, unraveling the fact that these attacks indeed were, error strikes? Do you have the full report now? What have you been finding out?
Yes, let me first of all take you back to how we got to this point. In January last year, 2023, terrorists were sighted on about 10 motorbikes around that same village, Rukubi, in Doma local government, about 10 of them on motorbikes, which is consistent with the way they move, and they were trailed to a particular point, and then cattle, were sighted somewhere close by, and before we knew it, vehicles came around that same area, and of course, people started loading. So we suspected that perhaps these were terrorists, and after permissions were sought after and given, strikes were authorized. Unfortunately, after a while, we started getting complaints that perhaps mistakes might have been made. So when Air Marshal Bakar came on board, he felt it was important to get to the root of this matter. He now considered a committee that went to these villages, spoke to a lot of people, and of course we had to review the footage of the strike, and then he felt indeed clearly mistakes might have actually been made, and being a humane officer that he is, he felt it was also very important to reach out to the families of these people, and that was what led to this particular visit. In fact, we've been planning this visit for over a month with the government of Nasarawa State, the governor, and the elders of Nasarawa State, but due to so many other factors, we were just able to have the visit just last week. But I need to point out this. It's one thing to, have this kind of situations. It's also another thing to ensure that you make amends. And that's where we are, when mistakes are committed, and whenever we have this kind of accidental strikes, I think it's very, very important that we come out to admit them, because we have to continue to give our people the confidence to believe in what we're doing, and it's not isolated to Nigeria alone. These things happen anywhere, and that in itself presents the difficulty in fighting the kind of situations that we're in. Insurgency where the criminals mix up with our people and all of that, but we're taking lessons from there. and we want to see where it takes us to.
We understand that you're also speaking with some of the families of these people. First, I'd like to stay on the families, and how did they receive this acceptance of error on the part of the Nigerian Air Force?
Yeah, first we must give credit to the National State Government, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, and of course the Emir of Lafia, who have always been there for us to, assist us go between us and the locals that were affected with this strike. They, to a large extent, were able to help us soften the ground. And in fact, when we went to Lafia, we first, the Chief of Air Staff met the governor, and he even told us the efforts that he's been making way before we even got there, and then he was able to see how we can get them organized, and then we met them at the MS Palace, where the Chief of Air Staff spoke with them, and the Emir of Lafia responded, and then some of them were also asked to respond. And for them, what they said was that the fact that the Nigerian Air Force, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has come himself to admit these mistakes and to apologize, it meant more than enough for them.
Yes, of course, an apology definitely is acceptable, but it would not be enough to apologize. Absolutely. Nigerians would want to be reassured that such situations, will be prevented in future. It is heartening to hear that the NAF, the Nigerian Air Force, actually neutralized some 30 bandits based on local intel. How important is it for, communities, individuals, to provide information that will lead to actionable, intel?
Extremely important. The strike we had yesterday in Kaduna, the one you just spoke about, purely intelligence. I saw the footage of that strike, and there was no way we could have been able to know where those terrorists were initially without the information we received from the locals. So we keep on telling Nigerians, if you have an idea where these people are, please don't be afraid to come up.
Yeah, but they're always afraid to come up to provide this information because of certain experiences they've had.
We agree, but
what are you doing to encourage them to actually come out and have confidence that they can give you information without being endangered?
We have continued to say this. If you give us information, your confidentiality can be assured. And the fact that the information you're giving us is leading to us striking these people means that it's working. The more we strike these people and reduce them from our environment, the better for everybody. To be honest, the better. And if you are feeling threatened anyway and you need protection, be rest assured that we can offer that to you. That's special.
A recurrence is something that we must guard against as a country. And how reassuring is this from you that, because we recall that the last big one before this was RAN, and now we've got this, which the Nigerian Air Force has just admitted, and also has gone to see the families. How reassuring, it is from the Nigerian Air Force that such will not happen again.
To be honest, let me be very honest with you. With the kind of situation we find ourselves, it is near impossible for you to say it's never going to happen again. But what we can do is to minimize these kind of situations. And there are various things that the Chief of Air Staff has put in place to make sure that we don't get into this situation. First of all, we're working with our foreign partners on how to acquire more knowledge on what we call ground-to-air integration. You must have a connection between the ground and the air, and that's the pilot we're talking about. It takes a lot of knowledge, impartial, and all of that. So that is working. The School of Safety, Nigerian Air Force has a School of Safety now that every year the pilots are batched up, go there and acquire more knowledge.
I understand we need to go quickly here.
Yes.
The pilots who committed such errors, what kind of what kind of medical, mental, or psychological help are you going to render to them? Because we understand that they're so pained knowing full well that they've just taken lives of people they meant to
it's
protect.
It's a continuous thing. The issues of psychological, medical advice and all of that they go through are continuous. Not just because you were involved in this strike. Okay. It's a continuous process for all the pilots, and it's programmed throughout the year, and it's yearly. We don't just go for some of these courses locally. They go overseas.
Very quickly, yeah. Again, before we let you go, how prepared is the Nigerian Air Force, with the pullout of 3 nations in the ECOWAS bloc? A lot of analysts and experts are saying it may, cause a lot of risk for Nigeria. Are you looking in that direction? Well,
if you recall when we went to ECOMOC, you agree with me that Nigeria provided over 90% of the funds and even the troops. So I think from that you should be able to understand where I'm going to. With or without any country, I believe that our country remains capable of handling any situation in this region. That's a fact. And of course, what are we talking about? What do they bring to the table? I'm not saying that we want to isolate anybody or anything like that, but I believe strongly that Nigeria remains very, very capable, very competent to take care of any situation within the region.
Yes. Vice Marshal Gabkwet, many thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.